Hey guys, what's going on? This is Roth and Jim here to talk about, guess what? Marvel. I know you're surprised. We've been talking about it a lot today. You were actually at the event that we were sort of talking about and doing conversations about here all day long.
Yeah.
Literally all day long. You also saw some footage that will not be seen in tonight's Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which will feature some footage from Avengers Age of Ultron.
Yeah.
I said Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., didn't I? Not Age of S.H.I.E.L.D. It's been a long day.
Yes. Well, first of all, the sequence was kind of a Valentine. This event wasn't just a press event. It was open to the public, and there were, lots of fans. People had lined up outside the El Capitan Theater in Hollywood to get up there and see it. And so it was definitely an event for fans and for members of the press like us who are fans as well. So what they showed was
a fan.
Yeah, Kevin Feige, Marvel boss, definitely a fanboy, and they wanted to do kind of I think a make good for the Avengers 2 trailer leaking last week, and they poked fun at it, saying as brought to you last week by Hydra, but what they showed was about a 5-minute scene from Avengers 2, and there was no special effects, nothing like that, and it was actually a good sequence because it was character-driven and sowed the seeds for a little something coming down the line.
Called Civil War. It sounded like, so the way you described it to us actually sounded quite exciting because it was like sort of the beginning of the confrontation between these two gentlemen right here, our Captain America and Iron Man, and talk about a little bit because I think it'll give us some clues to the plot.
Yes, and it will definitely, this is the sort of the kickoff moment of where you're beginning to see the events that will lead to Captain America Civil War. The scene takes place after a battle where Ultron has basically whooped the Avengers' butts. And Thor is off doing something, running an errand.
Thor stuff.
The Maximoffs aren't there. But they're both of those people are name dropped. The scene is at Hawkeye's farm out in the woods. Hawkeye lives on a farm, and it's Cap and Tony chopping wood. They're cutting logs with axes, Abe Lincoln style, and they're having a discussion about basically, we got our butts whooped. And it leads into a discussion where Tony's saying, look, I started the Ultron program precisely so we could not have to fight anymore, where we could just come home.
Right.
And Steve Rogers makes a point to him to say, look, you cannot do a preemptive war and not have civilian casualties, have innocent people get killed. It never works like that. And Tony says that it's tough for him to trust somebody who doesn't have a dark side, and that's a smack at Cap because and it's slightly spoilerish, but it's out there. You see a bit of it in the trailer. The Scarlet Witch is able to show sort of the dark sides or the fates. They're demons to the Avengers. So that's why we think some of the apocalyptic imagery in the trailer is probably just a fear. Their fears
it's a manifestation of their fears. We can say today because one of the embargoes is up that I was on the set of the Avengers 2, Age of Ultron, and it was amazing. But there's more on that soon. We have 2 interviews that were released today with Mark Ruffalo and with Robert Downey Jr., and they do touch on that, what the Scarlet Witch does. And she sort of calls up their inner demons. What Mark Ruffalo said was that she is the Nancy and they are all the Sid. So it's kind of an awesome quote from him.
Basically, how this leads into the Civil War then is that we do see that Cap and Iron Man have a very deep philosophical difference. And it was also revealed in the post-footage Q&A that the Superhero Registration Act will be part of Civil War. It won't be about secret identities.
Right, we talked about this in our earlier video about Civil War, but talk a little bit more about what Kevin Feige hinted that it would be about.
Well, it speaks to what they're talking about in that scene, the wood chopping scene, which is basically things have gotten out of control. There's no kind of who do these guys answer to, to poach from a different comic, who watches The Watchmen? And I think that's where you're going to start to see this philosophical divide that is now coming up after all these kind of global catastrophic battles is now going to lead into a new world order, if you will, for superheroes. So
sounds like a great piece of footage because it's very character driven, but it also ends on kind of a badass note.
Yeah, okay, Captain America. Captain America, you know, they're chopping the logs, and after Captain America has his whole spiel about, you know, preemptive wars not ending well, he just takes the log and rips it in half with his bare hands. He didn't need an axe to be chopping the wood.
Where's
he was
your
making
suit
his
now?
point. Yeah.
Where's your
so
suit now?
Captain America, total badass. It looked great.
Kind of cool. Really excited. Thank you for telling us about the footage. We're excited to see it when we see the film. We'll have a lot more about all things Marvel and certainly Age of Ultron in the coming weeks. So keep it locked right here to IGN.